Good morning, everyone. We're calling the Community Service Committee meeting to order today. It's December 31st, 9 a.m. Glad that you could be here today. I'll have the roll call, please.
Ms. Weber?
Present.
Ms. Parker? Ms. Polk? Mr. Snipes? Ms. Peters? Mr. Tholen? Mr. Carrico?
Present.
Mr. Kirkstra?
Present.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Present.
Ms. Bryan? Ms. Hudson?
Present.
Mr. Smith?
Present.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand?
Present.
Mr. Raymond?
Present.
Mr. Wheeler? Mr. Searoy? We have a quorum.
Thank you. I don't have any requests for public comment, so we'll go on to presentation. The only presentation would be the veterans, Illinois Veterans Home have published a wish list, and it's in front of you now. What Mr. Kirkstra and I noticed on the list that the things are due December 13th, but today they're picking them up at the commission here. So any gifts that were brought to the Illinois Veterans Assistance Commission will be picked up at 11 today. But the wish list is still good for any time. So if there's any time that you or any organizations you belong to wish to give things to the Veterans Home off this list, they'll be glad to take them. You could just go to the north side volunteer services door, and they'll be glad to take them. But one thing that was said to me is one thing that the veterans are really enjoying right now is to have a card to the Cinemax movie, that it's a way for them, since they don't have visitors and they can't get out much, but they can go to the movies. So that's a possibility there. So any other comments on that? Mr. Kirkstra, would you tell your story about the Bradley Veterans Legion, what you did there?
Oh, at the Bradley American Legion Hall.
Are you 15 or 14? 14, okay, 14, thank you, go ahead.
14, yes. The Bradley American Legion Hall has a Christmas wish tree downstairs, and there are several tags on it for different gifts that that people or residents of the Veterans Home are looking for, such clothing, basically almost the same list that you've handed out to us. And if you come by and you basically pick off a note and purchase a gift and drop it back off at the American Legion Hall, and they'll distribute it to the Veterans Home, basically on Christmas Day or for Christmas Day,
or soon after,
to be distributed out to the residents. Yes. It's there's quite a selection on there for what is appreciated. Mm-hmm. But if, as I said, if anybody is looking for any extra large size clothing, it's fairly difficult to find. It took me a couple of days to run down enough, but I made my donation, and they were very appreciative.
Did you take it to the Legion, and they were going to take it? Yes, I took it back
to the Legion Hall, and they have a dispensary there to where you can drop things off, and they'll dispense them out.
Yeah, so it's always good to remember the veterans, isn't it? No matter what time of the year. January is fine too. So yes. Thank you for sharing that.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Let's go to approval of the minutes. You were sent yesterday via our email, the November 16th minutes from Community Service. So Ms. Hudson, would you like to move that we accept those? Okay, any second to that?
Polk.
Mr. Smith. Oh, Ms. Polk, I'm glad to see you today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Second by Mr. Smith. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say aye. Okay, motion is carried. Thank you. Mr. Hendricks, please come forward. He has something for you to remember. So you have his report in your packet. We'll accept a motion to accept his report. Mr. Eckhoff will be firsted. Any second?
Polk.
Ms. Polk will second it. Okay. All in favor say aye of accepting the report.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion is carried. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sure all of you by now have received your new voter identification card. That was 70,000 Christmas cards I sent out to the people in Kankakee County. So we've gotten a few calls about people, people asking about there are changes, and just confirming that everything so far is as it should be. But if you get a card that's not at your If you get a card at your address for somebody that's not living there, please return it back to our office. Otherwise, sign the card, hang on to the card. We get people who will sign their cards and everything's okay, and they'll send them back to us because I think that's what they think they should do. But really, that's for you to hold on to for your information on where you go to vote and the things that you're entitled to vote on. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them to the best of my ability.
What he and I were talking about before the meeting is I found my old card and my new card, and it's just packed with information. What district do you belong to? What representative district? What county board district do you belong to? And we found that only thing different from the old card to the new card is
for you, for your area, the only thing that was different for you was where you go to vote.
right.
But for some people, there's absolutely no change at all. It's the same legislative congressional district, same representative district, same polling place, same county board. But for some people, there are some significant changes. So it's important to take a look at your card, just make sure that you know where you go to vote and what you're voting on.
And that's if there is at the polling place a common question, it is, oh, I'm not supposed to vote here? And then if they were to look on their card, it would have told them.
Exactly. And one of the nice things with our poll pad equipment is that we can direct them to the proper polling place now, and we can print off directions or send them directions to their cell phone. So
Directions would be good.
absolutely.
Anything else? Is there anything on your report that you wanted to highlight?
Not really. Next month, we'll talk about the statistics for the year for, number of births, number of deaths, most popular names for children.
You do
all
that
of
next month?
stuff. Yeah. So something to look forward to.
The reason for your report being, you put a 6-month report in what we approved.
We're required to, by law, to include a 6-month report.
As well as the November one.
Absolutely.
And then what you'll do next month is an annual one then?
We'll do, the sixth report that we'll do is our regular monthly report, but we'll also do, every January, we do our statistical review of vital records.
Oh, the other.
So,
Okay. Well, good. Tune in.
love data, so.
Are you? Oh, that's good. You're in the right place. Then.
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to ask Mr. Hendrickson?
All right.
Ray?
Thank you all very much. Have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Mr. Blair doesn't have a report today, and he's not here. Is he busy also? Is he, the hearings are going on?
Yes.
So that's what's going on with him today. He'll have a report next month about that. Ms. Gadboy, coming forward, you have in your packet her report for the recorder, $177,000. You want me to help?
No, I got it. Thank you. A little slower than. That's all.
So she always has this nice complex report, year upon year of records. So you must like statistics too. then, right?
Absolutely. And history.
And history,
Yes.
well, even better. And you're addressed in the right place for that. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
So I need a motion. Mr. Raymond, would you move her report be approved? You will? Okay, is there a second for that? Mr. Crookster will second it. All in favor of approving the report, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Okay, what would you like to highlight for us? We're on pages where the side goes sideways there.
Right, the spreadsheet. Well, as you can see, in comparison to previous years, your fiscal year 2020 is exceptional.
2021 or 2020 or 2020?
Well, I'm sorry, fiscal year 2021.
Yes,
Yes,
okay.
sorry. It is exceptional compared to previous years. Actually, in terms of dollar amounts, I've never brought in that much money in the 13 years I've been here.
500,000 more
Yeah.
than ever.
Yes, so that's pretty exciting.
Oh. Well, even if even if we go back to the October report, that's the biggest number that I can't find that $236,000.
Actually, December of 2020 was 244.
Ah.
So I can tell you December 2021 will not look like that. Right now, I was pulling the numbers, and we're not trending high at all, unless next week, which is not unusual, we get these large gift properties
Oh,
and
is that
stuff
right?
like that transferring.
Transfers.
Yes, to clean up a year. So, but I mean, we're doing good. You know, we're pretty status quo for the month of December.
And the column that you like us to point out, is it the state stamp?
Yes. Yes. So if you see for the year, we did $676,999.50. And if you times that by $1, that is the transfer declaration of property transferred in the year. That's the amount. So that's a pretty good amount.
Yes.
Pretty exciting for us.
Yes, sure.
So I'm not going to say things are slowing down. I think they are still on a nice move. Unfortunately, you know, the economists are saying probably second quarter interest rates are going to be going up. So we'll probably see some slowdown differences. But I'm hoping the first quarter, there's a lot of people who really would like to get in and purchase that forever home or property or investment. And we'll see that reflected.
I mean, knowing if they know ahead that it's going to go up,
Right,
that would be the right thing to do.
So, other than that, I too, for the month of January, will be giving you a calendar year review of what has happened in the office. Of course, number of documents, how much we have indexed in our back indexing, the book project, number of DD-214s recorded in the office, different things like that.
You record DD-214s?
Yes. All military discharges are recorded in our office and considered then the repository for them whenever they need their document to go get a loan, to have a discussion out at Abraham Lincoln or other places similar to that. Yeah, I hate to talk about that, but for their military services and benefits, going to school.
That is great news.
Yep.
I have a young lady in Herscher who wants to join our Legion Auxiliary and needs her grandfather's DT-214. And we can't find it.
She needs to go seek, if it was recorded here, she needs to go see Karen because she's not the actual military person, but then we can search it up and look for it.
Okay, I've been to that office and it's not on the computer, so
Okay, but because they don't have it doesn't mean I don't have it.
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So I'll have her.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's
Yes.
great news. That will help because that
Yes.
just help. That's such an
Absolutely.
valuable
It is.
document.
It is.
Great.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
good news today. Thank
Yes.
you so much. Anything else you'd like to ask?
I don't think so. Anyone have questions for me? Concerns?
Thank you so
All
much.
right, everyone have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm sure I won't see you all until then.
unless we
Merry
sell something
Christmas.
big.
Yes.
Merry Christmas. Ms.
Thank
Polk.
you.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll turn to animal control. Carrie's coming. You have her report in front of you. It's a complex statistical report also, and also the sideways specific report. So while she's coming forward, will someone move that we accept that report? Mr. Snipes, would you move it? Mr. Snipes will move it. Ms. Polk will second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried. Thank you. What would you like to tell us?
Our numbers for beginning of the month, last month, were very high. We had 29 dogs in our facility, which is extreme amount of dogs we have in our facility. Now we're down, at the end of the month, we're down to 20. We're remain steady at those numbers, 20 and 20 roughly for cats. I was doing some end of the year numbers for our fiscal year, and it looks like we microchipped close to 300 dogs, or 300 dogs and cats just in animal control, which I think one dog or cat microchipped is great in the county, so 300 is a spectacular number for our year.
That's right. Is that mostly to your Thursday?
Anytime a dog or cat comes in that is not microchipped, it's mandatory they be microchipped before they leave our facility.
But you also have that service on the second Thursday?
The
don't you?
third Thursday of the month, we do, usually the third Thursday of the month, we do a microchip clinic at our facility from roughly 3 to 5. And they call every 20 minutes, there's an appointment. Those slots fill up quickly. So we do those the third Thursday of the month.
And you would confirm that those microchips are very vital to getting animals back to where they belong?
Absolutely. Yes, as long as they're updated and in our system. If you move from, say, California and the animal is not current in our system, we have to track down, do some work. But as long as they're microchipped, we can normally get you back to your residence. That's just happened recently this week.
A stray, you found a stray and you
Yep, she was
microchipped?
microchipped out of California, and then we found the microchip company. We called the owners, new numbers, and then contacted them. Now everything's been changed over to the Illinois address.
They were united?
Yep, just yesterday.
That's really nice. The dog was especially happy, probably.
Oh yeah, she was very cute. The van is getting the graphics done at Nordemeyer, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have that van on the road. That's up to Kinky Truck to finish putting the cages in. So once that's done, it'll be on the road. The sheriff went to the Village of Roman Parks meeting a few weeks ago or last week sometime, and they said that they want to sign a contract with Animal Control. So I proposed a contract to them, so they approved it with their board, so it's just getting the process of everything finished with Roman Park. So we have one more contract in the books.
You want to review how many you have now?
We have Village of Roman Park, Village of Chabance, Village of Bourbonnais, and Buckingham.
Ongoing,
Yes.
current.
Yes. And then others have been sent, just nothing signed yet.
That's it's just important in a lot of things in the future if all those municipalities would sign on.
It just makes it easier for the residents to call in. They call in one number rather than calling the village or calling the dispatch, or find out who to call during which hours. So these contracts are for Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. They're for our business hours. Anything after that is after hours. So it's use our discretion on that, and then they are billed after hours for those calls.
They're billed after hours, unlike
Yes.
the contract.
We keep track of the numbers, so what we're doing currently with Bourbonnais is we separated cats from them because they didn't have a contract with cats, and so we billed them separately. They have actually gone over their allotted amount per the contract or whatever, but it hasn't been enough where we need to readjust thousands. So they've been pretty good. So the number we estimated for them has been, close to what we have done for them so far.
Contracts are for a year,
Yes.
so that would
Yes,
be
they started in
negotiable.
February, and they are just almost out of the contract what we had quoted. So
Which is
has
pretty good.
been pretty good. Exactly.
Any other questions on animal control? Just winter time, that the cold is coming,
And more people are getting bit by their animals. We had 10 bites last week alone,
that
reported.
Reason?
Bites. I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of the animals were current, which is great because then they don't have to come to our facility. So that helps us out a lot. So they could do a home quarantine. But if they're not current, they come to our facility, and it's a lot harder on our staff too.
monitored
For 10 days.
Yeah.
And it's $25 per day, plus not fine for not being current, plus a fine for administering the rabies vaccine. So it's close to $400, $500 if they have to quarantine at our building. So we try to encourage them to get your rabies vaccinations and hopefully not bite.
Well, let's solve that first of all. Why would the animal bite?
Sometimes they're provoked bites. A kid fell on the dog, or a dog got in a fight with another dog and they try to break them up, something like that. Or a cat, they brushed a cat. The cat didn't like the brushing, so they.
So we'll look at if you have no other questions on the long sheet like this, we'll look at the second sideways sheet, which is the more statistical about different things. So about a total intake 38, and then disposition. So you want to explain anything there? Reclaimed by owners are always, that's always a good number, 15.
That's what we strive for, is that anything that comes in goes out. We hope that they reclaim by the owners, but that isn't always the case. Less than half the dogs that we deal with do get reclaimed by their owners. So it's
Less than half.
probably, yeah, it's very sad, the number of dogs that come in, they're 6 or 7 years old, they know all these tricks, and they are not reunited with their owner for whatever reason.
And they leave them there. They're just not taking, nobody, you could contact them because they have their
If
chip.
they're microchipped or they're registered in our system, they have a tag on. A lot of these times they don't have identification.
But if they did, the owner could still say they don't want them back again?
And then they could sign them over to us, or if they don't, they could be charged with abandonment.
Oh, charged with abandonment.
So that's a misdemeanor, and that goes to state's attorney.
Oh, gosh.
For euthanasia, there was an error on there. I have 7 owner select, and then it's 4 one's the animal for animal shelter.
So the total is 11 euthanasia and
For
the
dogs.
7 and 4 for
Yes.
dogs. And so still I guess the good news is it wasn't your choice necessarily to do it. The owner said that there's something wrong or old or
opted to
problem.
euthanize, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and then the other is that you are able to send them to other licensed areas for
Yes.
adoption. So
Yes, other rescues have come in and taken, some dogs there. It has been a slow process, but there have been, 2 or 3 still helps out a lot.
And one other thing about the first sheet, there are 4 vehicles there. Will you maintain those 4 vehicles still and then add this next one?
As of right now, yes. Until a major repair comes up with one of the vehicles, you know, we're gonna try, hopefully nothing happens like that, but we're gonna try and maintain. The van will go out of service after a while, but if we need it, it'll be there.
And you have staff that will drive them. You have enough drivers
Yes,
for all those
yes.
that need them, and help.
Yes.
It just helps to get to all the different parts of the county.
Yes, each
probably.
officer has a vehicle they do take home, so it makes call time quicker.
Thank you. That's good. Anything else? Anything else you'd like to add?
No, not this time.
I guess Ms. Parker couldn't be here today, so we'll just talk about, while you're here, would you have any comments about our AWAC meeting other than we met and just continue with our plans? Is that all you would say?
Yeah, there's really not, we're just trying to figure out the next move, I guess.
I think that's how I would summarize it too. We had good discussions. We were able to, at that meeting, have a photo taken, thanks to Jasmine, and it was of the Kankakee County Humane Foundation receiving their $10,000 rescue check, and a photo was taken, and especially the best photo of all, right, Jasmine, was of the dog that came with them and the check. So it was a good photo. So thank you for your report.
Sure.
Anything else?
I forgot, the BARC did meet this last Thursday. They received a $1,000 donation from a charitable trust recently, another $500 donation from Sandy Cianci's Office of the Circuit Clerks for their Blue Jean Friday. So that was quite a bit of money they received in donations recently, which was helpful,
That
which
helps.
helps us in the end.
Helps you on the end because they're the money-making
Exactly.
arm of it. So good idea. Okay, good report. Thank you so much. Okay. The next to the new old business part, which would be number 10, is request for qualifications social services. You have a big packet on your screen there. So, Mr. Wheeler, you want to talk to us about that? Number 12.
Yes, thank you. This is a long time coming. Figured this would be the appropriate committee to release this in. The request for qualifications is for that partner we have been discussing that's going to help us with our community needs assessment, putting together the grants that we want to release from the county, the funding opportunities to address certain things within the county that we deem important and that the community deems important, obviously. And then to act as that one point of contact and reporting between the many service providers that will be, I'm sure, vying for parts of or all of some of the things that we want to do here. Being the contact point and all the paperwork and all of the documentation necessary to submit to the Department of Treasury on a quarterly basis. So this is something we talked about, and we agreed as a board that this is the direction we were going to go. So this releases that RFQ to find who that partner is. I won't spend line by line going through it. This was sent out a few days ago so people can see, but basically it's we're going to go through the process to find out who that partner is. They have to have written grants. They have to have expertise in these areas of social service, whether it's mental health, substance abuse, workforce development, really community economic development, any and all the above, if you will, things that are present in our community, recidivism, things that we want to address to both drive down the cost to people and to the human cost and the financial cost within the community. So the only thing that has to be adjusted is on page 12, I have to adjust some of the timeline information. That'll, before it goes out, it's already been advertised, so it's in the paper basically. So we're good to go. We're going to release this, and then there's subcommittee will interview, make a recommendation to this committee. The committee can accept it or reject it or whatever, but then send it on to, it will go then to finance, and then they will make the final determination, and then we'll start moving on this. So hopefully by the end of January, we'd have an idea of what that is. Then we'll go back to them and say, well, what's this going to cost if you manage this for us? And obviously that's associated with the ARPA money itself. We can pay any cost. Many times these entities are compensated via the grants that they apply for and get. So that'll be fed into it as well as a percentage. So it's help writing those agreements between us and those sub-providers. We're going to have our own attorney, but we just need people who live in this area, because we just don't as a county government. So, and we won't after 26, basically, when all the money's expended. So
maybe you all had some questions too, but on page 6 it mentions that whichever organization is chosen for this needs to be in good standing of 501c3. So that's kind of narrowing it a little bit about who could apply, right?
Well, there's for-profit. There's no for-profit entity. It has to be somebody who's a charity as it stands. Yeah, not for profit by definition.
And they could apply as the man. I don't know, what are you going to call the director or a manager? That's what that umbrella.
It's can't remember what we ended up coming up with.
There was a name for it, wasn't
it's
there?
on here. Social Service Programs and Grants Manager.
Yeah. Up at the top, it says at the very, very top.
Yeah, it's basically our hired gun. It's our, instead of creating a bureaucracy within county government that will last beyond the money, we figured it was best to outsource this to somebody who already does this, but act in our benefit, and also be held accountable to any bad decisions that they may be made financially. That's why the bonding aspect is in here.
I see that too.
So if they are managing a program and it goes sideways and one of their sub-grantees doesn't perform properly, that's not on us. So they're at risk. So it's that was an important part of this as well.
Sure, because there's the things to manage as well as the details to manage on the other side of it too. So. And the other is the reporting part, and so it's another part of that. They reported. I can't remember what the other part of it was.
Well, it might be the data part of it. We want to know what's working and what's not working. That's an important part of this. They have to demonstrate that are able to quantify the impact and the reach of the programs. Because there may be something that we say, yeah, we want to do this going forward. How do we have that happen with limited resources, obviously? But if something's working, we want to identify it and have a data-driven solution and quantification that it did work.
Right. The other part I was reading that was so good, I thought, was not to have competition, not have them competing. So if you have a manager, a program director here, and there's all kinds of programs out here, if those programs don't compete with each other, they cooperate with each other. Would that be the way it would be?
Yeah, it's basically we said this in our policy statement, and so I put it in here. Kankakee County desires a partner to help build connections and fill gaps between current programs, not-for-profits, and is not seeking to create competition between service providers. Some of the early proposals we saw, it's basically competing over the same clientele that exists right now, instead of why is this not working, or is it's not working as well as it could if we had this to fill the gaps. We're looking for more of that opportunity than we are of creating that competition, because really that's just throwing money at salaries and benefits. We want impact.
Impact is
I
right.
think that's what I've heard from most board members.
Accountability.
Yeah. And the public and the providers, to be honest, those that want to see it work.
Right. So at the bottom of page 9, are these some of the things in mental, physical health, recidivism, substance abuse, workforce development, food and housing insecurity, community development, community engagement? That last sentence is what this is all about.
And it's not limited to that. Obviously, there may be something that I didn't identify either through the previous submissions or just knowledge of the community. There may be something I'm missing. It's not limited to that, but that's the major buckets.
Well, and your proposal says if you have other things, there's an appendix at the back to add it to it. So that's it's really a good form. And your timing's, I think the timing's good. Anybody that's in this business would be ready to submit it, wouldn't you guess?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of what we've been waiting for in this area. It just took me a while to write it, because it's both that and the other RFQs. It's like a term paper. So it was quite a project.
Applying for a scholarship thing.
Yeah.
So
and then the lawyers had it, so they've seen it and all of that stuff. So.
But you agree there are number of social service agencies in the community trying desperately to help people. And is this program director, a coordinator of a type then of that, where they communicate?
We're going to release as a board what we want to do and what we want to fund and the projects that we want to do. And then this entity will not only design the NOFO, the Notice of Funding Opportunity, like we see from the federal government, we're going to release those locally. And so if it's like food insecurity and home security, or insecurity as the case may be, then there may be 6 different providers that do that in different geographies throughout the county.
Yes.
So that our person would set up that opportunity, qualify them, make sure that they're GATA certified or have good financial procedures and processes, because our person will be at risk as well for bringing in a team that doesn't pass muster, if you will.
And not want them to compete against each other, but perform, but also supply those 6, if there are 6 things that do a good job, let the 6 entities do the good job.
Right, exactly. We don't want overlap, we don't want competition.
I agree with all that. Mr. Snipes, let me have your question.
Just a point of clarification, a couple of questions. I keep hearing the finance will make the final decision, but I'm certain that means that the finance will make the final recommendation and the county board will make the final decision. The tangible and intangible, I guess, job description that we're looking for, I guess, is going to be kind of embodied in this process. But what I am more concerned about is the dollar amount that's associated. Do we have a dollar amount for this person, or if they're going after grants, are they going to get a percentage of the grants, or I guess there's just like a wide range of I guess not so much concerns, but questions as to what this actual position entails. Is it are they like the grant managers of the social service agencies that we have already in place in Kankakee? What is the need, and then after what is the need, because I kind of heard it in his brief narrative, but what is the need, and how has this not been filled before?
It's a good question. I think the first question is, how much do they make? Was that the first question?
Right. Well,
where does it say in here what your salary is going to be for doing?
How are we going to equate that salary? I mean, how do we take a number to say this is what this person is worth?
To be the manager? And
then to make sure that that person is worth what we are saying they're worth.
They become worth that.
Yeah, I mean, so it's got to be a benefit. I know there's some intangible benefits, but then there got to be a benefit, what we call the bang for the buck. We need to kind of know, after we pull this person together, what numbers are we looking at, and where's the money coming from to pay the individual? And if we have that dollar amount in mind, have we searched to see other individuals who have filled in this capacity in other counties, and what benefits they've derived from this social service physical agent?
It's another name for it, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. What would you say to that, Mr. Wheeler?
I'd say that I've already explained all that once. I don't know what Mr. Snipes was listening to when I just talked, but I just answered every question that he has.
So that
we negotiate with these people based on qualifications, and then they come back and there's a recommendation, and then we decide what the price is for what they want to do. The second thing is, this isn't a job within the county. This is an organization that will partner with the county. This isn't us going out and hiring somebody. So really every other question is answered within that.
Okay.
So what we're asking is, then, if they're partnering with the agency, certainly they're going to want remuneration from somewhere, and we're saying that it's going to be no cost to the county. Or,
no, I didn't say that at all, Mr. Snipes.
So once
again, we negotiate with the entity once we choose who is qualified to be our partner to handle this for us.
And what I'm
And there's
saying
a
is,
committee that's already established that is gonna be doing this.
have we filled the market in other areas? Are we the unique, is this a unique position in Kankakee County? Or have other counties incorporated a social service field agent? And basically what dollars are they paying? So what I'm saying is that, have we done any research beyond Kankakee County to determine what a person of this caliber, what's the general worth, you know, out there in the market? So that we'll have some general idea to, before we just throw something out there and then don't know what we're gonna be paying, or how much should be paid. I'm sure we wouldn't just do that without fielding other counties or a market where a person of this, of the social service physical agent has performed work before and what they're being paid, whether it's downstate, mid-state, or upstate.
So, do you have an answer to that, Mr. Wheeler?
I've already answered those questions. I don't need to
Yeah,
answer.
I haven't received any, what other comparators? I haven't heard a comparator. I just heard that we're gonna look at what they have and we're gonna basically kind of feel, you know, look at, I guess, their job qualifications, what they're gonna offer, and we're gonna come up with a price. But I have not heard that we have looked at other areas that have a social service physical agent, and this is what they've paid them. So we have a general idea of what this is going to cost if it is coming from taxpayers' money or anybody's money.
So, Mr. Raymond, let me get your number 4. Please go ahead.
Isn't it putting the cart before the horse to figure out what the qualifications that these submissions we're gonna receive before we put a price on it? To Chairman Whaler?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
So, isn't it putting the cart before the horse when we're asking for, if the discussion right now is going, we need to know the price before we know the qualifications, but isn't the actual process being we get the qualifications through the submissions and then we can have a discussion on the price on that? Is that correct?
That's the way it's always done in an RFQ, or else it would be an RFP, and then the proposals have a dollar amount attached to them.
So I would say if we're trying to have a conversation that reverses to putting the cart before the horse, I don't know if that's a productive conversation today, because we're nowhere near that, anywhere near that conversation yet.
Well, and the word was negotiate. So once you get it, then you negotiate. What Mr. Snipes' question was, has it ever been done in the past?
Right.
That's what he's asking.
Whereas in the community, we need to know, is this just unique to Kankakee, or have other counties, do they have a social service physical agent, and what have they paid? So what I'm saying is, before we negotiate, even if I'm going to have plumbing work done, I'm going to look at, what the work is, what these individuals do, who can do it better, and the whole 9 yards. So how does it, when we decide that we're going to put this together, have we looked at other counties? Do they have a social service fiscal agent? And basically, what do they pay them? I'm not saying put the cart before the horse, but what it does say is that when I'm sitting at the table, I have some type of idea of where the range of costs would be for this type of position. This type of position. Just like looking for a lawyer, any other
Yes, please.
position.
Mr. Eckhoff, Mr. Nine? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this.
Okay, is there a second to that? Mr. Carrico will second. Is there other discussion about it? So, anything else? So all in favor of approving the motion to request for qualification for social services, say, you want a roll call because we're spending money?
We're not spending
No.
money yet.
Okay.
Yeah, roll call anyway, though. I'll request a
You
roll call.
request a call, okay. We'll have a roll call vote on that, please.
Ms. Weber?
Aye.
Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Mr. Snipes?
Nay.
Mr. Carrico?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra?
Aye.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Aye.
Ms. Hudson? Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
Mr. Raymond?
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Carries, thank you. Okay. Is there any other old or new business to bring forward? Okay, so Mr. Carrico, would you like to move that we adjourn? Okay, Ms. Bryan will second. Ms. Hudson will second it. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no.